Say it now. Say the obvious prediction right now.
The Stars are going to win the Stanley Cup.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to Starcastic Remarks alongside Chris and James, who are actually in the same frame. My name is Ryan Chambers. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast at THPN. Go and use that promo code THPN next time you go and use DraftKings Sportsbook. Thank you to DraftKings Sportsbook, as always, for being the sponsor. Here's how I want to start this off tonight. First off, Dallas Stars win by a final score of 3-1 against the Edmonton Oilers. They now even the series at 1, going to Alberta for Game 3 and Game 4. And the question is asked of Ryan, is he pissed off? And the congregation says, yes. But it is one of these games where you talk about it. It doesn't matter how they win, just the fact that they won. And it doesn't matter. It's just one of those kind of games, guys. Initial thoughts on this game. How are y'all feeling?
Disagreement. I thought the first period absolutely sucked. One of the worst. Maybe second behind the Colorado period. Second and third period, I thought they were really good. I thought they beat them.
Yeah, I mean, the Oilers had 16 shots in the first period. The rest of the game, they had 13.
Yeah, so that shows you how bad the first period was. But I thought the Stars beat them in the second and third period. So I don't know what you're pissed off about. At least they responded in after that terrible first period. First period was awful. Like I said, second worst of the entire playoffs.
Exactly. And this is why I'm extra pissed off, okay? Because we have truly, really only played like 2.5 periods in this series of like true Dallas Stars hockey that we saw in the first 2 series. And here's what I'm talking about. We saw it towards the end of Game 3. We saw it in the first period, and then we saw it in the third period. And in the first period of the first overtime of the last game, excuse me. And then the third period, y'all, you knew what I was talking about. But so here's the real reason why I'm actually pissed off more than anything. The first period, just I don't think I've been pissed off like that all playoff long. Like I had expected way more out of this team going into the second game. They came out flat. Jamie Benn was the only good thing about that first period, and even Jake Ottinger after he let in the goal. But what pissed me off is that you very slowly started to see their game in the second period. They focused on the defense. They took care of their own zone. And then after that, they were able to go and get chances in the second period. And then in the third period, they exploded and they dominated the third period. That's why I'm pissed off, because we didn't see that brand of, like, it is it's not a tale of two cities. It's a tale of three periods. It doesn't make any sense. Like, pick a style. Come on. Just not the first period. Come on.
Yeah, and I think that shows why this team is still so heavily favored amongst the hockey media, because that third period is how the Stars have been playing these playoffs, and they haven't started these first two games, like you said, Ryan. But if we can find a way to get back to that consistent way that we played this third period, we're going to be just fine. So I'm encouraged that they were able to respond after that bad of a period more than anything, and find a way to win the second game. That's not a must win, but a need to win.
In the first period, I mean, it was a terrible period from Stars' perspective, but the Oilers did well in it, and they're probably extremely upset that they didn't get more than one goal.
Yeah, for sure. And the only reason they didn't do that is because Jake Ottinger was fantastic. He was a minute tonight.
Let's talk about that tonight, because he, despite the goal that he gave up in the game today, which that was completely unacceptable, by the way, him and the 5 defenders, just completely unacceptable. Other than that, he was the Stars' best player tonight. I mean, maybe you could say Jamie Benn was probably the Stars' other best player, but he is the reason why the Dallas Stars are able to get this win tonight.
Yeah, being able to survive that first period, that's your goalie advantage right there. Skinner's been playing great, way better than he has been the whole rest of the playoffs, but that's where you see the goalie difference, is in that first period. Being able to survive that kind of onslaught from the Oilers, no one else in these playoffs is going to give you that other than Jake Ottinger.
Yeah, and even with the Oilers doing a good job of getting in his crease too, they're bumping him a lot too and getting away with it. They were refs were letting it go. So, I mean, they tried everything to get him off his game. It just didn't work.
And that's even more impressive. The fact that he had so much crap going on in his crease and the refs just holding on to their whistles and not blowing him for no reason. Terrible, by the way. And it didn't faze him at all. He looked better the more they were in his crease. So that just shows the compete. And I mean, we talk about it all the time. That's Otter's mentality. And he showed it tonight. That was great.
He has been consistently good or great. He has not been bad. And I don't want to say we have yet to see him be elite in some games, but in this series, the last 2 games, he has been absolutely elite. He has stepped, like, the team has taken a step back. What's crazy, they still had an opportunity to win both games. But while they seem to have taken a step down, it seems like Otter and Ben have raised their game, and they understand 100%. the severity of these 2 games. Like, this could have been very different without those 2 guys, especially Otter.
Yep. And to be able to get out of here playing as bad as we did and without our top center, I mean, we take a split here, especially when you're the best road team in the league. I mean, you'll take a split.
Yeah. And it really, I think Otter played spectacular, but when the best players were on the ice for the Oilers, the team as a whole played well. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman had 23 and up of time on ice tonight. Zach Hyman had 2 shots, Leon Draisaitl 2 shots, Connor McDavid 1 shot.
5 shots.
That's 5 shots crazy. Between the 3 of them, and all of them played for more than 23 minutes.
Yeah, Connor McDavid with 24-29. Draisaitl with 23-28, and then Hyman with 23-23. So that's a very interesting difference between the Stars and the Oilers. Let's talk about this.
Also, it's a big difference between game 1 and game 2. I mean, Draisaitl and McDavid were lighting Otter up in the first game, and we just shut down the high skill players, and they have to make their bottom 6 has to get a good shot to win the game for them. And they didn't do it.
I want to talk about a couple of other frustrating things tonight. I know I'm complaining about a lot tonight, guys, and I know they got the win, but they can't play like this on a consistent basis and expect to win the series. Otter won them this game. He really, truly did. And that's why I'm just so stinking frustrated. Couple of things. First things I want to discuss is Thomas Harley. So while others have raised their game, I feel like he has absolutely gone down. And I mean, and you can see that in the time on ice. When you look at the time on ice, it is significantly down for Thomas Harley. 1916. I don't think he's played less than 20 minutes this whole playoffs. I'd be surprised. And then you look at the fact that Lindell got 26-37, played pretty well tonight. Tanev with 21-36, and then Heiskanen with 26-18. So I am just Harley can't play like that. We need to be able to rely upon him to not play badly defensively like he was in this game. And the thing about that is it's weird to me that he's the one that's having the issue. I would have expected, Ryan Suter to have more issues, which he's had some, but he's been able to cover for it, or people have helped him cover. But Thomas Harley has been kind of hung out on a clothesline to dry, and he just hasn't played very well. Is that fair?
I think this game is kind of his one-off, honestly. He
didn't play that good last game either, though.
He's played fine, I think. I mean, truly, I think he's played good enough. This whole playoffs, he's had bad turnovers in his own defensive end. And that's just, I don't know if that's just a playoffs thing that he's struggling with, but overall, his defensive play, he normally gets his stick in the right spot. He's ready to block shots. He's in the way of most things. Playing with the puck in the defensive zone is definitely a problem for him right now.
I think you also have to give some credit to Edmonton. I think this is the first team that's really giving our defensive core some trouble in their own end when they're trying to get the puck out of the zone. This forecheck has been the most effective against the Stars of any of the three teams.
And I'm glad you said that, Chris, because that's something that I think we do need to give Edmonton Oilers a lot of credit for. Their forecheck has been relentless. And I don't know what the Stars did differently. It wasn't even at the beginning of the second period. It was like in the middle of the second period. It's like the light slowly started to flicker, and then it went bing towards the end of the second period, and they figured out how to play defensively against the Oilers. Maybe they were just connecting on passes better.
So, some of it is that. The other part is the Oilers are playing with two forwards below the dot on the forecheck. And if there's only two defensemen back there, they're suddenly outnumbered if there's a third forward crashing in on them. So you have to get some other forward for Dallas. They have to get a forward back on the board somewhere to help out those forwards and give them an out, because they're just lots of times Edmonton just collapsed on one dude and he had nowhere to put it.
And that's exactly what James was saying during the game too. So I want to give him some props for that. He called that before we even started doing it, but that's exactly true. When they're playing the 2-3, you have to have your center come back even harder. And they weren't doing that to start the game. And like you said, Ryan, kind of in the middle of the second period, that's when we finally started seeing the center come all the way back to his own net.
You got to go below the dots.
And the center started doing that. We started getting out of the zone easier.
Well, and they stopped trying to get it, like when it was obvious that the forecheck was really heavy by Edmonton. The thing they kept doing that I was really frustrated with is they kept trying these stupid stretch passes. I know that we've talked about the fact that those stretch passes work well for the Dallas Stars, and it worked well against Colorado at points. It is not working against this team. And the thing that I think they switched, because I'm kind of answering my own question, they relied more on the high flip more. And instead of trying to go for the less percentage options of getting the puck out of your own zone, they were just flipping it up the boards or holding on to it and waiting for help. And that was, I honestly felt like that was immensely more effective than what they were trying to do in the first half of the game.
And I think that's a mid-game adjustment too, because like you said, it was working against Colorado, and that stretch pass was keeping their forecheck honest, which is why they couldn't get on us as hard. And we haven't been able to make those passes against Edmonton. And that's when that adjustment comes, where the forwards are coming back harder because we can't connect on those passes. So I think that's just a good mid-game adjustment by DeBoer. I do think the stretch passes are important, though. I think we should figure out how to get those through the neutral zone.
But they were doing that in the third period once they had made the Edmonton Oilers be a little bit, have to back off because they realized that the forecheck wasn't working anymore. So they were keeping them honest. So then that opened up the ability for the Stars to get the stretch pass. It's just like in football, when you throw long distance throws, it keeps those safeties and those cornerbacks from rushing and it allows you to run the ball better. So it's just, you got to be able to do
triggered all the Edmonton fans. Of course you're talking about football, Texas guy.
Which, by the way, you see how much crap you got, Chris, in the last episode? Did you
Oh
look at
yeah,
those
I
comments?
love that.
Oh,
That
it
is
was
so
awesome.
cool,
Oh,
dude.
it was
I
awesome.
called it too. They fulfilled my own prophecy. I said the worst part about losing game 1 is we got to deal with Edmonton's crap for the next 2 days. And what do? They do it in the comments of a Dallas Stars podcast. Wow. I mean,
Yeah,
I thought it'd be bad, but that's impressive.
See, and sorry, random tangent. I know we're going off on a tangent here, but one of the things I didn't understand was just like, I know they're supposed to be Homer and everything, or I know this is a fan-led Stars podcast, but what do you expect us to do? Oh, Edmonton was absolutely amazing. We're going to focus on the things that we can do better. The Stars can focus on to do better. I mean, come on. Not works. And we literally just gave Edmonton credit today. Specifically, you did, Chris. So
no, they're just haters.
So meh on the Edmonton Peoples. Okay. One of the things I also do want to talk about is the turnovers. The turnovers in the first period were especially atrocious. Okay. And they were still happening in the second period and a little bit in the third. But what they were doing, Chris, and you mentioned, or I forget who it was. I think it might have been James. They were getting some forward help defensively. And that was the key to really changing this whole game around on its head.
Yeah, and I think especially kind of our regular season demons were coming back of the attack zone turnover leading to a clean rush the other way. And that happened a lot that first period. And it still happened a little bit as you went on into the third. So we got to make sure that if we're making a cute pass in the offensive zone, that there's no chance of it going the other direction, because there was a lot of that tonight, and you can't let that happen against those guys. We played them well defensively, but you can't give them that many chances.
And especially Robertson was guilty of that a lot tonight, trying to make a cute pass in the offensive zone that goes straight to an Edmonton Oiler player, and they're up the ice with numbers. It was multiple times throughout the night where most of the time you just see him hold on to that just for a second longer and find a better option. And he just wasn't doing that. He's just trying to be too cute. He's trying to pass it through people instead of finding the open lanes.
I know we're being negative, but I got one more thing that I think we need to discuss too. And the fact that we have not seen a lot of tipped goals for the Dallas Stars. And that was one of the things they were really good at in the regular season. And there was even that stretch during the regular season where we saw like 5 or 6 or 7 games in a row, someone had a tipped goal. Marchman gets that here tonight. He's able to put the Stars up 2-1, changes the complexion of the game, gives the Stars the win. So the reason why I mentioned this also is Pavelski. Pavelski is finally starting to look his age a little bit. He still had a good game here tonight, especially in the third period, but I don't think anybody had a good first period, to be honest, other than Ben or Ottinger. But he looked better there in the third. But, man, it really feels like if Pavelski gets going, that maybe the rest of the team can follow his coattails.
I'm going to be honest, I kind of disagree with that. I don't think if Pavelski even gets one that he's going to start rattling him off. I don't think he's playing well. I definitely agree he was better in the third period, but he's getting chances. I mean, he's had those multiple breakaways that just fall off, not breakaways, odd man rushes where they just fall off of his stick. He's had chances in front of the net, and he hasn't been able to get to the puck. The stuff that he does well, he's not doing well right now. And it's weird to think that his age catches up to him all of a sudden, but it doesn't look like he's about to score a bunch.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say on Pavelski is like he can't handle the puck to save his life right now. He's still doing. It feels more like a third liner right now, where he's like he's getting down to block shots, he's winning faceoffs, and he breaks up plays sometimes. But like when he gets the puck, he doesn't make great plays all the time. A lot of the time, he turns it over, or it just like Chris said, it just falls off his stick.
It's just crazy compared last year's playoffs and this year's playoffs, how different of a player he is now. And we didn't notice that during the regular season. It wasn't like he had a crazy drop off during the regular season this year. So it's just weird. He doesn't look the same to me. I don't think, even if he gets one to bouncing off of his shin pad, I don't think we're going to see a burst from Pavelski. So please clip this after he gets a hat trick next game. That would be great.
16 is an absolute necessity for this team, but limit his time on ice a little more, and he'll be more effective when he does have ice time. That's what Zachary is saying. And we saw that for multiple different players. We've seen that for Suter. He has been very effective in the role that he's been given. And he's even playing more minutes than he was when he had an even more limited role. We've seen that for Jamie Benn. He has taken a back seat compared to what he used to be in his career. And now he's got 2 goals in 2 games. So, I mean, he's been fantastic. One of the best stars. I love what he's been doing. And then David Bergner, huge face-off win by Pavs at the end. So, and then plus you can't deny the fact that Joe Pavelski is a co-captain of this team. It really feels like they rattle off of his leadership. Jamie Benn is kind of doing it on both sides of the puck right now. He's the one leading by example. He's also getting it taken care of physically and on the score sheet. Pavelski is the guy in the room that's the big gruntly vet that's been in these things numerous times. He's been to the Stanley Cup final. And you can't, I know people are calling for him, like for DeBoer to take him out of the lineup, but no, you don't take Pavelski out of the lineup. Then do what Zach said. Like limit his time on ice, put him on a line where he can be effective.
Yeah, I think you should be limited a little more. And yeah, you can't take him out. I mean, what's your better option? You're going to put Fox in for Pavelski? No. Oh man, I just pissed off a bunch of people, didn't I?
3.25. Where's the comment, Ardell? 3.25. Let's talk about a couple of positive things here in the game tonight, guys. I've been singing the praises of Jamie Benn. I want to get your thoughts on Jamie Benn tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he was great, just like he has been all playoffs long. He was fantastic. That shot that went in on Skinner is definitely a shot pass, kind of. I mean, a low shot to the far pad. He's looking for a rebound to get to Stankoven, and it just beats him anyway. So, I mean, it's a great shot for 2 reasons: because it beat him and because of trying to get the rebound to Stank.
And really, it's not just Ben's offensive side right now either. I mean, he's a physical presence in the game. You saw the hit on Logan that someone then threw an arm up and hit him in the face. Not called, by the way. But Ben, after that, he's pissed and he just goes and lays a hit on him. So, I mean, he's a physical presence in the game. He's there to respond when someone hits his favorite little rookie.
Yeah, and he's done it multiple times too. And it's been effective for the Stars to have his amount of physicality and not overdo it and not get out of Stars hockey and trying to make it a slugfest. He's doing a good job of playing our game, but doing things when he can physically.
And it's also an instant response normally too. It's on that shift. He doesn't take a number and go back and get him again another time. No, it's on that shift and then he forgets it.
Yeah. And he doesn't cross-check people's head into the ice.
Right. That would be a very good thing, Jamie Benn. Thank you. I also want to give a lot of credit to Pete DeBoer, who just, like, man, 95% of the time he seems to push the right buttons. It just, if something is not going well, he always makes those changes in between the second and third periods. He does it again. They come out, they get the goal. Mason Marchment does, and it sparked the team. So I'm joking when I say this, but I guess the suggestion now is you just just mix the lines up every single period and see what happens.
Yeah, and we said this in the preview. With Rope out, his job is even more important, and it exactly was. And he pushed the right. I mean, who would have thought to put Marchment on the 4th line with with Steele and Delandria? But it worked great. They looked fantastic in that 3rd period. So he's just doing the right things, and it's a bigger deal when Rope is not on the ice.
It's weird that it just works. Like 2 games in a row, it just works.
And you know, honestly, maybe that's just what you do. Because I mean, think about it for a second. I really was joking, but at the same time, if all 4 lines play the same way, then you've got guys who can take care of it, right? And they just they know exactly what the game plan is. By all 4 lines, you do the same thing, and then maybe the other thing you can do with that is that it makes it really hard for the Edmonton Oilers to kind of match it up. Right. So, I mean, if you're always like a different line every time, then maybe it makes it really hard for Chris Knoblauch to kind of do that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think Knoblauch's looking for anything in particular when he deploys McDavid and Draisaitl. I think anytime the 4th line is on the ice, he tries to put him out there. Other than that, I don't think he particularly cares which of the 3 top lines of Dallas they go against. I don't know.
Yeah, and they all play amazing defensively, and the shot blocks proved that tonight too. I mean, the Stars were blocking everything. I mean, Edmonton had 29 shots, and we still had like almost 20 blocked shots on the night, and it was everyone. Everyone was doing it.
It definitely got a lot better as the game went on.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm going in and out a little bit. So, anyways, anything else that we need to make?
I kind of want to talk about the first line. I mean, whatever our first line is, but for the first 2 games, whatever the first line was has been bad. Like, I know Duchesne is good, but him playing with Robo and with Pavelski, they have looked really bad. I don't know what to do about it, but it looks horrible.
I really wish we would just do the Sagan, Duchesne, Marchment line as our top line, honestly. I wish we didn't break that up whenever Rope went out, but it's hard to do when you're talking about you're putting Sagan and Duchesne on the same line when you're down your first line center.
Yeah. I think Rope coming back will be a huge deal just for the lines of this team and the chemistry getting back. Even if they don't produce, I think it's important for this team. And hopefully, it seemed like he was close tonight. Hopefully he really is, and hopefully he can be there for Monday.
He is very critical to the success of this team. And again, we know he hasn't been the same Rope Hintz from last playoffs, but when he's in the lineup, the synergy just seems to work with all 4 lines a lot better than they are right now. And, another positive thing to take out of this game is despite the lack of synergy, the lack of chemistry, they're still finding a way to get it done. And even in the game they lost, it was in double overtime, and they had their opportunities. So
they were an inside post away from taking both of these games when they really have no business doing it.
And, I will do it one more time since Chris did it, but I thought this was going to be an easier series for the Dallas Stars. That is absolutely not the case. So serious, mad props to the Oilers and how they've been playing. Because
I'll take the props away. Stars been playing bad. I mean, these have been 2 bad games in a row from the Stars.
The Stars playing bad at home,
but the Stars are playing bad, and we could have won both of these games. I mean, no props to the Oilers. Stars take the next 3.
You have to give the Oilers credit, though, Chris. You still have to
Stars,
give
the only credit I give is Skinner. Skinner's doing better than anybody thought he would. Everyone else, garbage. Stars in 5.
Wow.
Comment on that one, Oilers fans.
Wow. Okay. By the way, Mavericks are also up in their series 1-0. Let's see if they can get to their to the NBA Finals there as well. Biggest winner, biggest loser. Who we got?
Biggest winner, Jay Gottinger. The dude was crazy. I mean, those saves in the first period are massive. I mean, you can't understate how poorly the Stars played and how big he was in that period.
James?
Yeah, I'm gonna give my biggest winner to Craig Smith. Actually, I mean, he was kind of throwing the body a bit tonight. He has more ice time than he normally would, which is still not a lot because it's Craig Smith. But he has 7 hits on the night, and he threw the big open ice hit after the goal. I mean, that was awesome.
7 hits for Craig Smith is crazy.
It's insane for someone who barely plays compared to the rest of the team, at least.
I'm going to give a pseudo biggest winner to Miro Heiskanen. I thought he played really well tonight, and he's very quietly taking care of business. His second period was much better than the first period. He was one of the ones that started to lead that charge defensively, if that makes any sense. But the real biggest winner tonight is Pete DeBoer. After Jay Gottinger did his job and saved the Stars from going down when they probably should have been, Pete DeBoer was the one who kind of kicked the Stars, especially the forwards, in the pants and said, let's freaking go. And they were able to get the job done off of a Mason Marchment tip. So Pete DeBoer gets the biggest winner for me tonight. Biggest loser.
Biggest loser, Petrovic.
That was terrible.
Man, that might have been the worst play from a defenseman we've seen this series, and we had no Lundqvist on this team for the first 12 games. Yikes.
That was pretty bad.
And to put some stats to that, Petrovic only had about 8.5 minutes tonight. So that's still more than Nils Lundqvist played in a lot of the previous games he did. But I know he obviously deserves some crap for that play. But at the same time, all 5 players on the ice were not doing very well for the Stars there. They were just kind of standing around looking.
My big problem is that's the person that Petrovic was following down the ice. And as soon as the dude made the pass, his head went, woo. And then he went to the front of the net. So that's my problem with it. I mean, it's good on Pete DeVore for still trusting him too, because he still played shifts the rest of the game too.
James,
my biggest loser is going to be the big players for Edmonton Oilers. I mean, they played 23 minutes on the ice and have 5 combined shots. That's pretty terrible. Honestly, every game that the Oilers lose that McDavid or Draisaitl doesn't have a point in, they become the biggest loser. They are the win condition for their team. They have to score every single game.
I don't necessarily think that's 100% true, James, because I think they do have a more depth than the Avalanche did, and they've shown that they can get goals. Those guys didn't score in Game 7 against Vancouver, and they still won. So
yeah, Vancouver was
how great did Vancouver play?
It wasn't just Vancouver was bad. Connor McDavid. Y'all are being okay. Now y'all are being extra haterish.
Oh yeah, I am. Yes,
Edmonton has some depth.
Not enough.
Edmonton.
If their top players don't score, our depth will beat their depth.
Should beat.
Will,
but
I'm confident in that.
Stars and Pops.
Should.
Stars and Pops.
I'm still gonna give mine to Thomas Harley. There are just some uncharacteristic turnovers that he's made the last couple of games. Thankfully, nothing has turned into any goals against, but we still really need him to play a lot better than he did tonight. He's got to be able to suck up a couple more shifts than that. And I know it doesn't seem that much because, you get him to like 5 or 6 more shifts and he's already in there at 22, 23 minutes. But we still need more of that from him so that he just needs to play better in general, especially defensively. Okay. Anything else? I think we're good. Okay.
I always figure on a podcast.
I just shake my head.
I
let y'all say no.
All right, guys. There's 140 of you who are listening live. We appreciate you guys listening. There's more of you even afterwards. Please consider liking and subscribing here on YouTube or wherever you're listening to your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review as well. That helps us grow. We'd appreciate it if you did that. And as always, we thank you for... My goodness, I'm tired. We thank DraftKings Sportsbook for being our sponsor and use that promo code THPN. Alongside James, alongside Chris, my name's Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Hope you all have a fantastic afternoon, morning, evening, Leonard, Dunch, whenever you're listening. Chris, you want to take us out?
We have more oil than Edmonton. GG, boys.